Oh, Stan Lee, he's such a charmer, created some of the biggest names in the history of comics. Let's go through some. Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, X-Men. This weekend's Fan Expo Canada marks his final Canadian appearance. Say it ain't so. Luckily, he joins us this morning. Please welcome the Chairman Emeritus of Marvel Comics, the man, the legend, Stan Lee!
Wow. Thank you.
Are you kidding me? I have not seen this many people of all ages in this studio ever.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
I expect that.
But say it ain't so. You say this is it, your last visit to Toronto or even visit to Canada for any sort of expo.
Well, I miss the people in Toronto. I love this town. I love the people. And I figured I got to come here one more time. Mostly, I wanted to see you, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I paid him some good money to say that. What do you love about meeting the fans? Because I know you were part of something last night. You'll be there today. You'll be there tomorrow. And Sunday, there's an 11 a.m. Q&A. What do you want to say to the fans in Toronto and Canada overall?
Well, first of all, there is something so wonderful about people who are interested in what you're interested in. I love comics, and the fans love comics, and to share that enthusiasm with them is the most fun you can have. For instance, if I were a shoemaker, I'd have to find people who like shoes, and that might be a little difficult. But there are so many people who love comics, and it's such fun to talk about. Not just comics, but the characters in the comics and the movies, and it's entertainment is one of the most important things in people's lives. They've got to be entertained. And we're lucky enough, we in the business of comics and movies, to be entertaining people. So it's such fun to talk about it with the fans, and with you mostly, of course. If the fans would just leave, we could have such a great time here. We could talk.
Listen, speaking of your lovely wife, you see,
she always does that. What a way to get out of it.
No, but seriously.
Joni, if you're watching, she's only kidding.
Joni, listen, you're approaching 70 years of marriage, and I hear we have to thank your beautiful wife for the fact that Spider-Man is what he is to this day, because she said, listen, before you think of leaving this business, write one last story that you're passionate about. And it was Spider-Man. And
it was Spider-Man. And I am very passionate about Spider-Man. I love or Spidey, as we call him. You know, it's funny, over at the competitive company, they never call him Batty or Soupy, but I love nicknames.
You also love alliteration. Why is that?
There's
Peter
nothing
Parker,
like alliteration.
Yeah.
But you know the reason for that? I give all of the characters this. I let their first name begin with the same letter as their last name, because I have such a terrible memory. So if I can remember that his first name is Peter, I know the last name begins with a P too, so I run down the list that I get to Parker.
That's very smart.
It makes it easy for me.
Is it true that your boss wasn't feeling Spidey or Spider-Man? What do bosses know, right? At the time?
My boss hated the idea of Spider-Man. I said to him, I want to do a character called Spider-Man, and I want him to be a teenager, and I want him to have personal problems. So my publisher, who is not the most intelligent person in the world, he said, you can't call a hero Spider-Man because people hate spiders. And you can't make him a teenager. Teenagers can only be sidekicks. And you say you want him to have personal problems? Stan, he's supposed to be a superhero. They don't have personal problems. Don't you know about superheroes? So I walked out of the room very dejected.
Yeah.
But when you're killing a magazine, you could put anything in it. We had a magazine we were killing, so I put Spider-Man in that book. It was going to be the last issue of the book anyway,
and
I featured him on the cover. A month later, the sales figures came in. It was our best-selling book of the year. So my boss came running into my office. Hey, Stan, you remember that character Spider-Man of yours that we liked so much? Let's make him a series. And that is really the way it happened.
Is that something? And you did mention that. It was so important for you to make these real, relatable, flawed you know, superheroes who happen to live among us.
That's right.
Why was that so important? And you can see how it resonates to this day from, you know, characters like Iron Man. I know you love what Robert Downey Jr. brings to that role.
I taught Robert Downey Jr. how to act. I said, now, Robert, don't be nervous. Is how to do it.
What do you love about what he brings to Iron Man and Chris Evans and...
What do I love about Iron Man?
What they bring to the characters. You said you hope that they never retire from the role.
Oh, they better not retire. No, whoever does the casting at Marvel, and I'm sorry to say I'm not the guy, but he is a genius because they get just the right actor to play the right role. Our actors are so, and the roles are so great, and of course the characters themselves are so great. But I modestly can't talk about that.
Well, of course, your cameos, too. I think you're approaching the 30th cameo. I know you just filmed 3. One for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, one for an upcoming Spider-Man film,
That's
Dr.
right.
Strangelove. How much fun is that? Do they decide how you're going to fit into the role, or do you suggest how you should be incorporated?
Oh, no, no. They decide. If I was deciding, it would be a half-hour role. They only give me a few seconds, and they're afraid, you know, I'll overshadow the star. You know how that
Of course.
can be.
It's awkward when that happens. Talk to me about the fact that you are 93 years young, loving life, so much energy. What, Stan Lee, is the secret for the rest of us mere mortals? What do we need to do?
I don't know. It just happened. I never thought I'd be here, 93 years old. I know people 93 years old, and they're old people. So I don't understand. I think I may be kidding people. Maybe I'm younger and don't know. I never looked at my birth certificate.
So you want people
I may
to
only
say,
be 50.
right? So you tell them you're 93, so they're like, you look amazing for 93.
Yeah, I just picked the number out of the hat. I'm like, how old are you? The first number I thought of was 93. I mean, I could have said 70. I could have said 21. Doesn't matter.
Did you ever dream as a young man that all of this would happen decades later? $1 billion industry. Did you ever dream? And technology, the way that it comes alive now really does, I think, show the creative mind brought to film, because technology has allowed us to see these things that you couldn't ever showcase, let's say, in the 1960s
You know,
or 70s.
you are real good the way you talk about
Oh,
these
really?
things. Wow. You people here in
Where's my
Toronto
boss?
are lucky to have her, let me tell you.
Where's my boss? Can I get a raise, Paul? Can I get a raise? Stanley
I want her
said
to
so.
have one.
Stanley said so.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Now I
what
lost
does
the
it feel
question.
like when you get to see these films, the evolution of technology and how they're brought to life right now? It's got to be amazing.
It is. Well, actually, when I first started writing these things, I just hoped that the books would sell so I'd be able to keep my job and pay the rent. In a million years, I never thought I'd be in Toronto being interviewed at a major TV station with a lovely lady and people who actually want to hear what I have to say. Have you nothing better to do?
Everybody, give it up for Stan Lee.
Thank you. Excelsior.
And just, what would you name me then? Since you say you have to have an alliteration type name, I'd be Dina.
Gina.
Dina.
Good looking.
Or
Gina Good Looks.
Okay, I'm going to take Gina Good Looks. I'm going to take it. See Supreme Stan Lee at Fan Expo Canada this weekend at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. He's got a panel on Sunday. It's a Q&A, but you are there every single day. From all of us to you, thank you for making us smile. Thank you for helping us escape into these brilliant worlds. Without you, there would be no Spider-Man and everything else. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being such a great hostess, and I love you all. Your enthusiasm is great.
And
Thank
send
you.
your love to Joan.
Right.
Stan Lee, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Are we done?